Friedrich Nietzsche once said, "He who fights with a monster should look at it that he himself does not become a monster." And if you gaze long enough into the abyss also gazes into you. And this is where the basis of this video is that just like Robert Greene says, pick your battles carefully. And the reason why is this: we all have limitations. Our energies and skills can only take us so far. Danger comes from trying to surpass our limits. Seduced by some glittering prize into overextending ourselves, we end up exhausted and vulnerable. You must know your limits and pick your battles carefully. Consider the hidden cost of war, time loss, political goodwill squandered, an embittered enemy bent on revenge. Sometimes it is better to wait, to undermine your enemies covertly rather than hitting them straight on. Aim at their weaknesses. Make the war expensive for them and cheap for you. Fighting with the perfect economy, you can outlast even the most powerful foe. And this is why I wanted to make this video, is because walking away in silence sometimes is the most economical way of dealing with conflict. Now, the issue that we have today is that we do have an epidemic of people who freaking ghost you. They think they're a bunch of Caspers. And there are some situations that you just can't walk away in silence. It's actually cowardly to do that, right? And that's if you have a relationship with someone and they're there and they haven't been abusive and get what I'm saying, like they haven't been inconsistent, they've been treating you right. Just because you're not happy with the relationship doesn't mean that you should ghost them, okay? So that's the first thing, because ghosting is really detrimental to people's mental health. A lot of people put on a strong act. A lot of people act like it doesn't hurt them, but it does hurt them. It hurts the person's self-esteem. That you can't tell me it doesn't. So if you do practice ghosting, cut the games out. Stop being a coward. Okay, face people face to face. It's like a boss who fires you without calling you, or a boss who fires you using somebody else and sends you an email. Like you can't even look at me straight in the eye. So those are the situations where you don't walk away in silence, where it's actually cowardly to do that, right? But what I want you to understand is that most relationships, most situations don't have a silent end, right? By the way, if you guys want to work with me one-on-one, click on this. You see a QR code that says "Scan me to work with me one-on-one," and there you'll be able to purchase a one-on-one session with me for 45 minutes, 1 hour, 30 minutes, 15 minutes, 7 minutes. And there, in those minutes, I'll literally be able to help you with your issue. If you could describe to me the problem quick enough, I could give you the solutions, okay? It's not therapy. I don't need it. I don't need 2 hours. I don't need 10 sessions, right? It's quick and straight to the point. So if you have a problem you're currently going through, click on the description down below or scan the QR code that says "Work with me one-on-one." There you'll be on the phone with me today, okay? Anyways, take care. Let's continue.
And help me reach 1,000 subscribers by subscribing to this channel. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers by today, or else I'm closing it.
Walking away in silence is something that you use when people that you're dealing with take you for granted. When people that you're dealing with don't respect you, honestly. When you have a situationship that is completely outside of your control, you walk away in silence when you have no control. You walk away in silence when the relationship is toxic and incompatible, when you have unresolved problems, and when friendships are bad. The problem is that a lot of people don't know which situations that you walk away from it. And the reason why is this: there's an emotional quality to you being unable to walk away in silence. And the reason why is because we want the person's validation. It's like we know that we're not good enough for them and we know we should walk away, but there is an instinct inside of most people that just cannot let them walk away. Like if you have a group of people and they don't like you, right, and you feel ostracized and isolated in a group of people, a lot of people will have a tough time walking away in silence, and they'll try to win them over. And a lot of people live their lives trying to win people over who just don't like them. And sometimes what people don't understand is that the same people who don't respect you because you're trying too hard, as soon as you walk away in silence, their perception of you changes. Your perception of you look as though you have more strength than you appear to have. You look like you have standards. And the reason why is because walking away without engaging further shows that you have self-respect and are unwilling to compromise your standards or boundaries. You know, for example, there was this one girl who I gave her chances, man, because she was a bad bitch, man. I gave her way too many chances, man. I think I told you guys about her. Where she just kept being late, and I would warn her like, look, girl, like I got a YouTube channel. I can't just be making threats without following through. I didn't say that, but I was like, yo, like you keep being. And she was like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, look, man, like why can't you just be on time? And like for the I think it was like fourth time, she was 40 minutes late. I was like, yeah, and she was on the way, and I literally saw her down the block, and I'm like, okay, block. I'm like, look, man, I'm not, if it wasn't a problem and you're late, if I didn't have a problem with it and you kept being late, okay, you know what I'm saying? You don't know I have a problem with it, but since you know I've complained to you multiple times, and I told you that's literally my number one pet peeve, like legit, in all of the universe, my number one pet peeve is being exacerbatedly late. Like 40 minutes late, you are boiling my blood. Okay, I could be the calmest person, but then if I have to repeat it multiple times, to the point where it's like, okay, now the only way for her to be on time is for me to like commit a crime, like look, kidnap her and have her on time on purpose. I was like, you know what, man, I just don't want to be with someone who I have to argue about this all the time. And I just walked away, and I blocked her. Why? You're not going to fix your problem. You clearly are not even trying to be on time. Even if you would have been 10 minutes late, okay, 15 minutes late, okay, it's an improvement. But you were later this time. Last time you were 30 minutes late. Now you're 45 minutes late. Like, what are we doing here? There are some situations that you just don't try to fix. You just addicted to crack, and you're trying to get them to stop doing crack, and you found a crack pipe. You just don't fight them. You just go. You let that speak for you. You let your silence, your silent walking away in silence speak for you. Speak for your standards. Because a lot of people want to verbally tell you they have standards, but you don't have standards. You just talk. You don't have standards. I'll walk away. Okay, yeah, sure. How do you teach someone a lesson? You leave forever, and hopefully they'll come back a few months later. And then you say, like, okay, look, well, I walked away because of this. And now they know. Let me tell you something. When they come back after you walk away in silence, they know you're not playing. They know you're not playing. Now, that girl never came back. Like, she never came back, right? But I'm just saying, like, if somebody just genuinely wants you, their respect for you, that action will increase their respect for you. And they will come back being more humbled, more checked. You know what I'm saying? But, it's like, it's almost like, I've had relationship, even with family members, that they were just unresolvable. Just unresolvable. They fought too much. When you try to fix a situation, they yelled at you too much. They can't just talk about the issue in calmness. And what I noticed is very similar to what Friedrich Nietzsche said, that if you stare too long into the abyss, if you gaze long enough into the abyss also gazes into you. And what tends to happen is that when you try to change someone who just doesn't want to change, it'll end up changing you. A lot of people don't want to admit that the people who we hate the most, the people who we resent the most, influence us the most. Why is that? Okay. I hate people who are, I'm trying to find an example. I hate people who always complain and never take action, right? It annoys me. It really does. So you might say, okay, how does that influence you? Well, I've met people like that. They got on my nerves, and it created such a strong reaction that I don't do that no more. I don't complain. I just take action. You get what I'm saying? So my dislike for that, those people who I don't like, influence me. They do control you. You just don't know it, right? It's like people who hate Trump, right? It's not politics, but I'm just saying. A lot of people will never say they'll vote for some. Like literally, I heard somebody said, if Trump poops his pants, if Biden poops his pants and he can't speak, I'll still vote for Biden over Trump, right? For example, right? And again, I'm not saying for you to. This is not political, people, okay? But people hate him so much, and this is actually something that I talk about in my course, A Feminine Woman. How hatred towards someone opens up your mind to concepts you have never accepted. For example, if you're a parent and you want your kid to do his homework, and your kid doesn't want to do his homework, for example, but let's just say that kid hates the principal, right? He has so much hatred for the principal that if you say, yo, the principal wants you to fail, he thinks you're not gonna fail. And let's just say you even have him on record saying that, right? The kid's hatred towards that principal can potentially open up his mind to study harder. Like literally, like I hate you so much that I want to prove you wrong. So your mind opens up to in this scenario. This is actually in my course, The Feminine Woman. I mean, it's gonna be in the masculine man. I'm making a course for men too, similar to this. But it's on the section about how to open up the mind and how to penetrate the mind. And one of the ways is through hatred, honestly, right? And the hatred towards them, or even love opens up your mind to different things from the person who you love. Like it's truly, it's like a spellbinding effect. So the hatred towards them opens up their mind to accept a candidate that could be completely senile and immovable, like a nursing home. And you would have asked, 10 years ago, would you do that? They'll be like, no. But their hatred towards them is so much that it changed them. So when you date people like this, people who you have problems with, that you got to change them, or that they want to change you, staying too long will change you for the worst. You're not going to be the same afterwards. You might think you are, but you're not going to be the same. It's like people who stay with people who cheat. And they cheated on you, but now you want to check their phones all the time because, if you want to be with me, I got to look at your phone. I got to make sure you're not cheating on me, right? Okay, that sounds reasonable. But the problem is that if the next relationship you're going to be in, you got used to that, checking people's phones so much that the next person that you meet, you're going to want to check their phone. And that is a toxic part. That is a part that a lot of people just don't understand, that you just cannot do that. You just can't do that. But a lot of people do that. A lot of people are get comfortable with the power you give them by you trying to change. Some situations just have no solutions. Some people just will never change. The only solution for some of these unresolvable problems is walking away in silence. Not declaring, not looking back and saying that you're leaving, but walking away. They'll get the message. As soon as you do that, the way they saw you changed fundamentally. They were like, "Oh fuck! I thought they would never do that." It's best to accept people as they are. Realize that there's other people in this universe. They're not the last person you're gonna meet who you're gonna have chemistry with, and just walk the hell away. What's funny is that if they really like you, this action will increase the respect they have for you, will value you more, will not take you for granted, and you'll notice that people just fundamentally treat you different. And above all, it'll give you control, especially when the situation has been manipulative or controlling. Walking away will show them that you have the power that they thought you didn't have. Will show them that they underestimated you. Will show them that they cannot predict you. Right? Because, at the end of the day, what matters with people is how you end things. If you end things threatening to leave all the time, it's kind of like, the way you behave affects you a lot more than people imagine, because you got to look at yourself in the mirror. If you're someone that's always making threats and never do nothing, if you're somebody that doesn't that talks before you move, that's problematic. I would prefer you're someone to be act and then talk later. That shows, like, honestly, you're like a freaking ninja right there. You act and then talk. You leave and then you tell them what you did. Well, most people do that is that they just declare like it's an enunciation. What are you gonna do? And when you do that, the truth is that people look down on you. People see that as weak, and they'll laugh at you behind your back. Some situations are not solvable. Some people will never like you. Some people will never accept you as your friends. Some people will never marry you. Some people will never be with you. And not understanding that early on will cause you to just make a ruckus out of situations that you shouldn't. And in that process, change for the worse. Become more needy. Develop needy, creepazoid habits that will potentially push other people away in the future. Especially when you're dealing with narcissists and people who are really good at pissing you off, people who are really good at making you feel insecure, people who are really good at getting your attention. The last thing they want you to do is just walk away like that in silence, honestly. They thrive off of your energy. They thrive off of your reaction, and they know how to get a reaction out of you. They know how to do that. And so the way to counteract that is just to moonwalk your ass back silently. Because if they can't get you, if they can't get your ear, if they can't be around you, because some people's power base is in your presence. You know, some people know how to poke at you. Some people know how to manipulate, oppress you. You know, and those people are really good at that. It's like their talent. I'm not even gonna lie. You know, and you defang them, you remove their claws by not letting them touch you, by being ungraspable, by disappearing into the thin air and never be seen again, 90s style. But nowadays people just have a tough time letting go of the past, even if it's toxic. You know, it's a habit, a reflex to look back. You know, when the Stoics told you not to do it, Friedrich Nietzsche told you not to do it, Robert Greene says don't fight the last war. Robert Greene says don't look back, know how to end things. Because if you don't, the person who you're trying to fix a situation with will change you, and they won't change, and it'll ruin all your future relationships.